hardest part, putting it through the sieve. Unless, you know, you can't whisk very well. Good morning, welcome back to the channel, and today we have our butterscotch pudding. It's pretty simple. If you can make a box mix of pudding, you can make pudding for real. So that's what we've got going today. Let's start with what we have going into our pudding. First, I have 5 cups of whole milk. I have 1 cup set aside because you're going to need it separated than the other 4 cups, and you can use regular whole milk. I'm using half and half. Actually, yes, half and half. I have half goat milk and the other half is half and half. And you can go whole milk, half and half. You can do goat's milk if you like a stronger, more enhanced flavor. The goat's milk does that for you. But I do know that it is kind of spendy if you're buying it in the jug. I have actually powdered goat's milk, and I have buttermilk powder also. If you have those, keep them in the freezer. It'll keep them fresh, and it'll actually let you keep them a lot longer if you're not going through them quickly. So 5 cups of milk, whole milk, whatever variety you want. You could even use cream if you want to use the heavy cream. So next we have the 4 large eggs. 384 grams of brown sugar. And a side note, when I say brown sugar, I mean dark brown sugar. I don't use light brown sugar. As far as I have been able to determine, there really is no good use for light brown sugar. So we have 48 grams of cornstarch, 1 stick of unsalted butter. That doesn't have to be soft for this particular recipe because it's going to end up being melted. 3 tablespoons of scotch, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Use the good stuff. And then we have 12 grams of salt. Your brown sugar, I believe, is 2 cups-ish. 2 teaspoons of salt. The cornstarch, I'm not certain on. It looks like it's probably like 1/4 cup. Let me pull this data out of my book here. Cornstarch, 8 grams per tablespoon. So 8 tablespoons, half a cup. Okay. So there you go. If you're using volumes, do half a cup, 2 cups, 4 eggs, and then the rest of this is 2 teaspoons. And 1 stick, or 113 grams of butter. So the reason you want 1 cup of this separated is because you're going to use this cup for your cornstarch and your eggs. And then this will go into the other mix here. And we're going to go ahead and make a browned butter butterscotch today. And I'm going to rearrange some of my ingredients here because one thing small kitchen lacks is tons of counter space. While I'm doing this, I'm going to mention you do need to have a protective layer on your pudding. You want plastic wrap covering the surface of it while it cools, or it will form a skin. You've probably encountered that before if you've ever made any kind of pudding. That's not the cornstarch. Have your plastic wrap available if you're using it. Dishing this into your serving dishes would be a good idea because then it will set to that dish. Otherwise, have a bowl ready to put it in, put your plastic wrap on it, touching the surface of the pudding. Let it cool and then refrigerate it. I have a different use in mind for this, so I'm not going to be putting it in serving dishes. I'm actually going to vacuum bag it. Not because it needs the vacuum, but it's because it's the easiest way I have to put it in a gallon bag and close it up. So I have mine set up here. If you see this in here and you wonder, that's just in that kettle so that the bag will stand up on its own. So I'm just cracking my eggs into this bowl for the next step here. And hopefully the audio turns out a little better. I discovered when I was going to turn up the gain on my microphone that it was actually turned as far down as it could be. I don't know when that happened or why, but let me set my bowl over here so it's out of the way. And if you wonder why this has got stuff on it, that's because I already mixed in the powder for the goat's milk, so it's not like leftovers from some other thing I was doing. So take your cornstarch into this 1 cup of milk. Your milk you want not hot but gently warmed. I put mine in the microwave for about 45 seconds before I measured out the separate cup here. Doesn't have to be exact, like a certain temperature. You just want it warm so that your cornstarch will mix in and it won't be super cold when you get to the stage where you're mixing it into the hot sugar. Okay, so you whisk the cornstarch into the milk. It didn't really get all that great. There's little bits in there, but that's okay because then we're going to just whisk it all together with the eggs here anyway. These eggs are from like super chickens. These yolks don't want to break. There we go. 1, 2. And you can easily cut this recipe in half. It's actually a super simple recipe to cut in half because you just use half of everything and it all divides evenly. So get that good and whisked together. What you don't want is you just don't want it like eggs floating in milk. So we will set these in here, set that aside. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and do our butter. We're going to brown this butter. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to brown your butter. It's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and get this in there first. Browning the butter just adds a little bit of an extra flavor, but like I said, you don't have to. If you don't want to brown your butter at this step, you just melt the butter and then skip to the next step. So you want a lower temperature. You don't want it to just like blaze through the process of heating up here. And in this process of browning the butter, basically you're melting this down to a liquid state. Then you will evaporate out the water and put a nice toast on your milk solids that are in here. And you don't want to go super crazy on this. There's a really fine point between well browned and wasted because it's burnt. So we're not going to go too close to that line. We're just going to get it to where it just starts browning, and then we'll go ahead and move to the next step. don't walk away and take a coffee break or anything here. Take your coffee break while you're stirring. Okay, so now you see how those are getting a brown on there. Those are your milk solids browning, and that's what we want. So we'll go ahead and set this over to the side. Don't worry about turning the burner off because it's going right back on there in just a second here. So we want to go ahead and add our sugar in here, and that will arrest the browning here. So now we'll come right back onto the heat, and we want to get all of this so that it's liquefied, not like liquid, but see how we get the melty sugar look over here. If you try to go totally liquid here, all you're going to do is turn your sugar into a brick, because it's got the butter in there, not water. So basically you'll fry it. So I'm just trying to declump the mix here. Probably turn this up a little bit. It was on really low there because over this gas stove I don't have settings on the gas stove here. I have high and ignite. Everything else is just a random spot between, so you're going on flame height for your temperature settings. So I can't really give you like a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or. Right now I'm somewhere in the lower, probably about 1/3 of the way up on my gas. Okay, so all of these dryish looking spots going away is what we're looking for here. And try not to flick the napalm bits up out of the pan with your spatula because they hurt. Okay. So now everything is kind of liquidy looking. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's all wet, but you're not going to get it into like caramel syrup looking. Oh, pardon me, I forgot where I set this. So I just pulled that off so I could grab my milk without it sitting here and scorching. So now you want to go in here slowly. It's going to make some noise at first, but you don't want to just dump this whole thing in there. You want to whisk it in here as you mix. And if you were looking for your caramely syrup looking stuff, here you go. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and whisk in this other mix here. It's okay to do this right now because we just added all that low temperature milk. So there's no need to temper this. Okay, so now we've got this in here. Go ahead and scrape all the egg in there. And we're going to want to bring this up to a medium high. Let me double check my notes here. Yep, medium high. Okay, so we'll go up here. So now we want to bring this up to a simmer. And then once it comes up to simmer, we want to reduce the temperature And at that point, we want to be constantly whisking. And that will let us bring it to the right consistency. Hey. Go ahead, start simmering any time now. Doesn't want to stay over there. Okay, so we're starting to simmer. So, we're gonna go ahead and blow out my flame by accident. Done. These valves are so sensitive on this thing. I don't get much low before it just shuts off. Okay, so if you look close, you can see I'm getting completely around the pan before these whisk marks are completely gone. So I'm getting pretty close. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting all the way around. That's what I'm looking for right there. So we'll pull this to the side, go ahead and turn off our burner. And we'll just whisk that a little bit just to make sure it doesn't heat soak into the bottom and scorch. And now let's come over here and see. I don't know how successful this will be, so either we're going to get a good video of screening out the clumps of the pudding, or you'll see me with some fun third-degree burns and spilled pudding everywhere. And either way, it should be a good time for the viewer. So you just want to kind of agitate this, just lightly drag over the screen, and it'll push the pudding into the bowl without breaking apart the little pieces that you want to have not in the pudding. Okay. Now, if you notice some stuff is sticking to the bottom, don't scrape. Because if you aren't keeping up quite enough with your whisking, it'll actually burn to the bottom. I don't have anything burned on here, but so if you go and you just wipe a little bit, if there's a layer that stays behind, don't scrape it off. That's cooked on, and you don't want that in the finished product. And if you want to know why, feel free to scrape a little off when you're done and taste it. Okay, come on. And see, as it's getting thicker, not a lot, a little thicker, you can see how much longer it's taking. Just this little bit of extra thickness. I don't know if you remember just all that time ago when we started here. And keep this stirred, because it's going to form a skin fairly quickly if you don't. But when we started, if you'll remember, I was pouring it through. Now I'm pushing it through. And it's not going very fast even pushing. So you'll see here in just a moment why you want to do this. All these little bits of egg and milk powder, and it's not, you didn't mess up if you're catching stuff in there. That's just a fact of life with this type of thing here. So let's start with the salt. Come on, you can do it. Come on, gravity, you can do it. They call you a constant. Let's see it. Okay. And then your vanilla and your scotch. And be ready, because when you dump the vanilla and scotch in there, you're going to get hit in the face with a wave of awesome. It smells amazing. And suddenly what smelled like weird sugary milk and butter smells like butterscotch. And it will thin it out a little bit at first. And that's great, because suddenly I don't know if I have enough room in this big freaking bag. So I am at 8 cups. Which means I should have plenty of room in my 1 gallon bag. But I have learned through bitter experience that should and do seldom occur together. Okay, where is that? Don't mind me. I'm just not prepared in advance for this. I thought this part would be a little easier than it's being. Okay. Stay where I put you. Okay, so now this will cool. Okay. And once it's down to room temperature, then you'll want to go ahead and put it in the refrigerator. Chill it till it's nice and set, which if you're making this for dinner, you're going to want to make it earlier in the day and give it probably, I'd say, a couple of hours to cool off, and then at least a couple of hours in the refrigerator. Like I said, I'm not just making this to eat. I'm going to have a lot of it left over when I'm done, but I'm actually using this for a different recipe also. So that is pretty quick, pretty easy. Okay, so that's it. It's all done except for the cleanup. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy. That took about an hour, including all the filming stuff and the shuffling. If I were just doing this like in a home kitchen setting without having to film it, probably half an hour, 45 minutes if you're taking your time. So it is a fairly quick and easy recipe. I mean, it's not 5 minutes like you get with a box mix, but let's be honest here. If a box mix is your standard, this is way better. If you were to make a comparison, real pudding is a house and box mix is a teepee, like not a teepee, a little like a pup tent, like the old ones that don't even have walls on the ends. So try it, make it. It's not as hard as people make it seem. And it's absolutely amazing. So go ahead and give it a try. Once you get this one down, I mean, you're a stone's throw away from vanilla pudding, chocolate pudding, banana pudding, it's a lot more work. Well, it's not a lot more work. The banana pudding just takes a lot longer because you have to soak the bananas. So, one word of advice, get a little bigger sieve. I have tight space. This actually hangs up here, so I don't have a lot of room for a big one, but get a big one. It'll go a lot faster. And that's the hardest part, putting it through the sieve. Unless, you know, you can't whisk very well. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it's a little shorter than some of the other ones because it's a pretty simple, straightforward recipe. So give it a shot. You'll like it. If you like butterscotch, you'll like it. Hopefully I'll get a like from you. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Share the video with your friends. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.